Good morning. I'm glad you're here joining me. And today I want to talk about this continued solar flare conversation because I think there's a lot of information there for us to pay attention to, right? And the other thing is that the numbers on this video go up when I talk about solar flares because we need information, we need resources. So for those of you who are new to me, I collect pieces of wisdom and I turn them into information. So I'm a sort of a data, information, energetic collector. And then I have a really nice way of being able to put things in practical terms, right? So first and foremost, I'm up just outside a glacier and the Wi-Fi sucks. So I'm recording this and then I'm gonna load it up on YouTube. So if you were trying to get onto my live, I apologize. I'm gonna have to find a different system. But you can hear the birds in the background. You can see the trees and it's 54 degrees out. So it's a little chilly, right? So, okay. So I participate in SusieMiller.com. Susie Miller's New Earth portal, right? And that portal, she provides a weekly integration call, and then once a month she does a children's sanctuary call, which I love. That sanctuary call is all about what are the new children and the existing children and the children within ourselves experiencing. And she talked about something on Thursday that I thought I would paraphrase and share a portion of it with you. And that is that if this is our body, right? And this is our energetic field, most of us believe that we are operating in the world in this kind of like, we don't know that we have a field or a soul or an interaction. And if something works, something sort of hits us energetically, we're so in our bodies that we don't understand. So then we're going to doctors, we're looking at for resources, for support. Now, there are those of us who have fields that are a bit bigger or different than the physical body, whether we want to make that like size all the way out or we just want to, talk about it just sticking up a little bit, right? Where there's increased sensitivity. This is my theory. Listening to Susie, it's like, well, if this is here, then this to me explains some of the things about increased sensitivity, empathic skills, connection to the unseen, right? And when we have those, when we have this, it means that we see things differently. So you've heard me talk about highly sensitive people. You've heard me talk about empaths and those that are energetically, emotionally picking up on things all the time. Those that are energetically attuned or reactive, especially children. Those of us who are experiencing or observing connection between ourselves and the solar flares. Like, I'm noticing when the flares are up, something's happening. So my question is what are you experiencing? Do you think that there's some sort of additional sensitivities that are picking up on something and bringing this into you, right? So this also sort of dovetails with Chiron, who's the energetic manager who brings information in and provides data to the human system and the human energetic system. And when Chiron has been shut down or wounded in childhood, birth to 5 years old, then what we notice is that Chiron moon starts like doubting whether this even has the ability to bring something in. And this also explains to me, and I've been talking a lot about this in camp, with friends on my days off, like ever since I talked with Susie or listened to Susie about this idea that our fields can be so much bigger than us, right? Is that explains to me ADHD, explains multidimensionality, it explains multiple intelligences, it explains neurodiversity, it explains a lot of things, right? Okay, so when we sense or feel something that's changing, right? When we sense or feel something that's changing in ourself or in our environment or in the collective, you can sort of feel it like, ooh, change in the force. Something just rattled the field. Something has caught my attention and you can't put your finger on it. You don't know exactly what it is, but you know that something's rattled it, right? So whether it's the field or in Star Wars, the force, right? And I defined what the force is, or what force is, and it is any action that tends to maintain or alter the motion of a body or distort it. So it's when some motion, some impact, something comes and hits this field, right? And it starts to rattle us. It starts to bring in something, and we're like, change in the field. Something's happened in the force, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi, it is the energy field created by all living things, is what the force is. So there's ways that we have to understand that there's something much bigger than us going on, and that this field is picking up on information, and this field is being extremely impacted by the solar flares, which explains so much to me, right? Because solar flares, whether it's a medium to high class, C class solar flare, because you have C and E's, and you can go back in my previous videos and look at how they're categorized, or you can go to solar or spaceweather.com and they have a lot of information on there, right? Whether it's M classes, or especially when something gets very high in the M's or an X class, it rattles everything in us. It starts to create something like, I don't even know what to do. Something's just totally like pulled the rug out from underneath me. I'm disoriented. I'm spacey. I'm swirling. Yet we're not used to identifying this as something that affects our field. We're used to thinking, what's wrong physically? What's wrong physically? What's wrong physically, right? And so we go to 3D matter. So what happens when we're what picks up for us in the 3D matter is that we might have some physical symptoms. We might have heart palpitations. Our heart is adjusting to the swirling. It's recalibrating to a new frequency through the solar flares. Any densities in the body, places where we've held old wounds or old stories or old emotions, are going to ache. They're going to hurt, and we're thinking, oh my God, this tooth, this knee, this hip, and we've talked about this. And there's also the need to because it's rattling around and it's learning something new, our body, we need to hydrate, drink a lot more water, and make sure that we put minerals into our systems. So on a bigger picture, we're energetically being activated, right? Whether, what's happening is this is getting activated and it's affecting this, right? So we're having hot flashes, we're having dreams, we're having downloads, we're having insights and inspirations, and they're all coming in, and we're like, wow, this is amazing. Where is this coming from? And I want to talk more throughout the next weeks on some of the options of where this information is coming from. And if you want more information on that, definitely go back to Susie Miller's Children's Sanctuary on last Thursday, right? So what we want to do is we want to follow these. We want to lean into them. We want to see what information they're giving us, because there's something there. It's not like we want to ignore it. It's like we want to actually go, ooh, what is that all about? What's going on, right? Because what we're doing is we're building consciousness in a huge part of ourselves, in our abilities, in our skills, in our sense of self, finally. Because this has been something that has been shut off. We don't teach it in schools. We don't teach it through parenting systems. We don't teach it through our religions. We don't teach that this energy field within us is active, alive, reactive, and always moving with the collective, okay? So before I go in, I have 4 tips for you today. And before I go into the tips, I wanted to just sort of recap that a week and a half ago, I moved up to West Glacier, which means I'm about a quarter of a mile outside of Glacier National Park, and I'm working in a summer resort for the summer. It's kind of like a sabbatical. It's research. I'm working with a lot of 30 and unders. I'm watching what happens when we're outside, when we collectively cook and eat together, when we work together. And so it's a combination of staff, of raft guides, fishing guides, hospitality, front desk, I'm up there working the front desk having a blast with all of these kids because I'm one of the oldest ones here, right? And like I get this huge smile on my face because I feel like I'm 20 again. This means that I have a limited amount of time for coaching, so I'm maintaining my current clients, the clients I've worked with in the past, and doing daily sessions or doing single sessions with them with you if you'd like. I just am not taking any brand new clients. So if you are interested in working with me at the end of the summer, you can go to my website, and the information is down below, and you can you can send me an email, you can get on my waiting list, and I would love to start with you then. Okay, so that's just to clarify. So, okay, so I have 4 tips. The first one is, imagine when something or someone is trying to get your attention. Tap, 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 tap. They're making noise, they're jumping, they're trying to get your attention, right? Whether it's they're seeking, they're moving around, they're making sounds. If it's energetic, it's synchronistic, like over and over again. The same song comes on, the same numbers, right? These are things that are trying to, derail or disrupt the direction you're going because they're trying to get your attention, right? So when you look and you check it out, you're like, oh, that's what you were trying to do. Kind of like when you're having a conversation and someone's in the background going, do right now, right? You go, oh, okay. Because once you catch it, you know what to do, right? So the first tip is pay attention because something's happening here and it's trying to get your attention, right? So pay attention. This is what's going on with the flares. The flares are getting our attention. When they hit, sometimes I think last week they hit twice, 2 days, a day and a half apart, 10 flares in a day, all in upper C class and lower M class. It was like, okay, I'm paying attention, right? So pay attention. Number 2. Your field is being awakened and being introduced to you. So, that term awake, we've been awakened. To me, it's just a level of consciousness, right? So these flares create symptoms that can feel random. They can feel scary. They can feel irritating. But they have a language all of their own, and they have a rhythm. And they have messages that come into your energetic system that impact you and impact those around you. So you may not feel it directly yourself, but you'll notice it in your kids, you'll notice it in your partner, you'll notice it in your coworkers, right? So, kind of keep your head up and read the information. Oh, something's going on. I had a client yesterday and she said, what was going on last Thursday? And I was like, why? And she was explaining the symptoms or the things that she was noticing. And so then we went in and looked up where the flares were and what was going on. It was like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Actually, there were a couple of days in there, and it was like, okay, now I get it. When I'm experiencing those things, that means I put my head up and I start to look for why I'm being activated and awakened, right? So number 2 is that your field is talking to you. And you can step out of victim, which is this, oh, poor me, this is happening. Oh, what am I going to do? I hurt, I ache, I don't know what to do. 2, action, like, okay, it's talking to me. This is what I need to do. This is what I'm here to listen to. Okay. Number 3, adjust, stabilize, adjust, stabilize, adjust, stabilize, right? Things are dismantling and they're moving really quickly now. We can't unsee or unfeel the things that are coming in. Right? They're just going to come in and they're going to grab us and they're going to take us for a ride, and we're going to discover things about ourselves, about our job, about our relationships. And yeah, we can ignore it and it can go away for an hour or 2 or a day or 2 or a month, but it's like tap, tap, tap. It's still going to keep trying to get your attention, right? So that short-term relief isn't going to go away. So whether it's jobs, whether it's where you live, the money that you're spending, the budget that you have, your primary relationship, partnership, marriage, your health, your children, all of this is moving. And so what we're doing is we're managing overwhelm and using our tools and stabilizing, and then shaking around and then stabilizing and shaking around and stabilizing. So tip number 3 is adjust and stabilize, because this is our new normal. It's kind of not something that's going to go away real soon. I think that this is sort of boosting us up into a different way of playing with our consciousness, understanding our consciousness, and expanding this consciousness within us. We see this in the children. The children that are coming in are much more awake and conscious in what's going on than we have been as adults, especially those of us in our 50s, 60s, and 70s, right? Number 4, always have compassion. Have compassion because we're all in this. So the information that dropped in to show you was like, think of storms. Think of rainstorms, windstorms, earthquakes, tornadoes, tsunamis. You know, some of us stay and we shore up and we're like, I'm going to endure this and we're going to ride it out and we're going to lock it all up and make sure we're safe. Some sort of tie down everything and get ready, and then they go someplace where it's out of the way, safer, and they sort of watch and then they come back. Or some people just like close it up and go, nope, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to ride through this. I'm going to get out and move on. All of this is a choice, and it's happening to all of us all the time now with these solar flares. They're going to hit. We have a choice of like hunkering down and saying something's wrong with me, I'm scared, I'm going to go to the doctor, or we can start to observe and find out what we can do to adjust, or we can go, you know what, I'm getting the message, I got the message, quit coaching for a while, get up in nature and start living with some young kids and find out what they're experiencing, right? So that was my personal experience, was that I just didn't flee, but I went, I get it, thank you, here's the information, I'm out. We are all choosing based on our experiences right now, and those choices, right or wrong, are challenging. So we need to have a lot of compassion for ourselves right now while these flares are rocking and rolling us through the day. So that's it for today. If you have any information that you'd like to share or questions, drop them in the comments, and I will see you next Sunday out here in this beautiful hopefully it'll be a little bit warmer than it is today, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.